So glad you are with us on your financial compass. Brad Johansen, Chris Bulman, Scott Vlahon, Bulman Wealth Group. Gentlemen, how are we today?
Well, there is a genuine concern right now because, these seats have like hydraulics here.
Hydraulics. You mean they go up and down?
Correct. So we're afraid that Chris's chair might start sinking during
if it
the
happens,
show.
hey.
So if you notice that he's getting smaller as he's talking, that's why.
All right, let's be dedicated to that today and making sure that we watch your height.
You guys like Benjamin Button? Or?
in the midst of this.
Yeah.
We're worried about height today, and so you need to pay attention to that. We're also worried about what I like to call the tail that wags the dog, because we don't think about this in retirement until the very end, and that's a legacy plan. And I think for a lot of you going into a legacy or an estate plan, look, I don't have an estate. I got a house, I got a car, I got some land. So I don't really have an estate. I don't really need to worry about my legacy going down in that. Look, if you're working through this and you have something, this is probably something you should listen to. Is that a common thought, Chris, for a lot of people to go, why would I put together a legacy plan when I don't really have much in my estate?
Yeah, it's the same question you asked. Why would I have life insurance, or why do I need to invest in the stock market? But people just don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
Legacy plan fits right in that. And a legacy plan, especially in California, you're looking at if you have a estate worth $184,500 or higher, you need a trust because it has to go through probate. Now, do you want to go through probate? Just ask anyone who's ever gone through probate. 9 to 18 months, up to 9 months to a year just to get your appointment to go through probate, can take up to 18 months or longer to get through probate. And then the cost of probate, the fees, if you have $1 million estate, which, by the way, the estate is calculated based on the total value of the estate, not the total equity. So if you have $1 million house, even if you owe $1 million, that's $1 million estate, even if you owe $1 million on it.
Can I even stop there? Because if people aren't thinking about this or going through, I need a trust, right? I'm going to probate, and I've heard that term before. Should I know what probate is and why it takes 9 months for me to get to probate?
Know that it's a pain in the butt. And it's one of those things in California. Here's another thing, too, to be a bit terse. If you own a home in California, you need a trust, period. Because, like we said, if you own the house and something happens to you and it's not owned by a trust, it's going to probate. As Chris said, probate can last months. Kids are annoyed with you. Mom and Dad left us with this pile of all this time. We can't inherit the house yet, all these costs. So if you own a house in California and you don't have a trust, finish this show, then
hang with us for a minute. So in this probate, meaning that it's going to court, I know this, that probate is public so that people can have an understanding of, hey, your stuff is out there, everybody can see it, that people can contest it, and you're talking about the long line of trying to get there, meaning if we want to settle an estate, hang on, baby, wait in line kind of thing. Is that what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. And it costs money to go through probate. So you're looking at cost. If you have $1 million estate, which in California, it doesn't take much. I mean,
sure.
There's not even a house out there hardly worth less than $500,000. So if you have some assets on top of that, you're at $1 million. That's going to cost about 9 to 10% of your estate that you've built for your kids to pay the fee to go through probate after you're gone.
Okay. So I like to set foundation, and we also like to have tools that you're going to be able to use. So they have put together a quiz for you on estate that we can actually make something happen for you. If you scan the QR code on the bwglegacyquiz.com, what does this do for me? Well, it kind of hits the questions that I'm asking to begin the program. Do I need this? What do I have? What questions should I be asking? Am I prepared for an estate plan, for my legacy? Do I have intention on what it is? I want you to scan the code, take the quiz as we go through this. In setting that foundation, Scott, how do I set the foundation for where I begin with this? I think the quiz will help, but the idea is, look, I don't want to be bothered by this whole... Because most of us feel like if I'm going to deal with my estate, and that's way down the road, this is time-consuming stuff that I don't want to do right now.
And it's definitely something people kick the can on, and they're not as daunting as they think they're presented to be. You know, legacy is a very weighty and dramatic word. Think of it
Yeah.
like this: remove the word out of context. Who do you want this stuff to go to?
Yeah.
Is it your kids, you know,
I think that's a
grandkids,
great
what have
point.
you, a charity? So finding out you don't want it to go to the government, you want it to go to them. You want it to go to them in the most efficient way possible, and that's where a trust comes into play. So. The first step is asking, okay, what are the bare essentials of it? And we can help folks set up a trust if you're a client. And in many instances, it's not a very complicated thing. Sometimes it delves into something a bit more sophisticated where it might be out of our kind of jurisdiction to create a trust, and we have attorneys we can help send you to. But the point is just, it's not as scary as you might think it is. And a lot of times it's just very basic. Like most trusts are pretty much 85% boilerplate. And the other 15% is the minutia about your situation, who it's going to, health ramifications. But the point is, take a breath. It's not as dramatic and scary as it needs to be. And just take the quiz or come and talk to us, and we can kind of walk you through it and say, hey, guys, it's not as bad as it needs to be. And once you get it done, too, it's done. And, it's just, without going into updates in the future. But we want to do it when we're clear of mind, too, not when it's at the end, like, oh,
without
crap,
question.
I should have done this before.
Oh, okay, so if somebody's already done one, you're talking about this, you guys, and I think I have a trust already set up. And if it's 85% boilerplate, do I have most of what I need? Is there something, if I already have a trust, Chris, where I need to do? Because Scott says, well, I don't want to get into the minutia of what we do on updates. Do I need to update my trust if I'm doing a legacy
Yeah, I mean,
plan?
there's something you can remember. You can remember everything Scott tells you, but here's one thing I think Scott came up with. Is there dust on your trust? And if it's been 5 years, 4
trademark.
years, or something like that,
Yeah, you should trademark that. I like that.
if there's 4 or 5 years has passed, you should look at it. Bring it out. You can, if you're a client of ours, you can send it to us. We do a full review on it, kind of update you on who the beneficiaries are the houses titled properly, where is the money going, is there life insurance involved, all these different things so that you understand and are reminded. Because, for the 25% of you out there who have done a trust, do you remember all those points? Do you remember who you set up? Do you remember if you get sick and you have to go to the hospital and you can't talk, maybe you're in a coma, maybe you have memory issues, who's going to be there to make those decisions for you? And if you haven't updated those lately, or maybe the person that was going to do that is no longer alive, or you no longer trust that person. A lot of things happen. So it's important every at least 5 years, I would say, dig out that trust, let's get the dust off of it, and let's look at all those details.
We do this on most of the topics that we talk about on this show, guys, of saying, is this for everyone? And we talk about personalizing things. Is a legacy plan something for everyone?
I think in 90% of the cases, yes. Maybe if you're 25 and you're not married yet, no kids, okay, maybe it's a bit early.
We can wait a bit.
Yes. The majority of our clients are 55 and older. And in 99% of those instances, yes, they need a trust because they'll be a homeowner or they have kids, grandkids. Maybe you have minor kids. Like my kids are, as we record this, 12 and 9. In our trust, we have to designate who's going to take care of them when they're not. If we're not around, it's you, Brad. Surprise!
Congratulations,
yes,
Brad.
thank you.
Yeah.
But it's just having those things in place, but the first thing is to ask, why might I need one, and we can walk you through it and find out if that's the case.
Okay, but that's a trust. I'm saying, regardless, we need a plan on legacy
right.
of understanding where we want our stuff to go.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, exactly. So legacy planning, a trust is part of legacy planning. But within a trust, so sometimes people come to us with their assets and want to know how we can help them manage their assets. And part of what we do with their assets is say, wow, you really need a trust. Or, do you know that Scott, for example, if something were to happen to Scott and Julie, they've got these 2 little beautiful kids now that you're going to be the new beneficiary of the kids.
I'm excited about this.
So
They're
does
very
Scott
well behaved.
have enough life insurance to give you the money to take care of them and give them the life that he wanted to give them? And so that would be another conversation that came up. So a trust is part of legacy planning, which legacy planning includes everything from all of your stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash. Where's it going? How's it going to be taxed? Who's going to get it? Who's going to take care of it if you get sick? Who takes care of you? If you get sick, you might have one person that makes the decisions. but you might think that person I don't want making financial decisions.
Right.
So who's going to make financial decisions? The mortgage still needs to be paid, right? The life insurance premiums, the bills still have to get paid, but now you're in the hospital. Who's going to pay the bills? Somebody has to be designated. And if you have a trust, that's all laid out ahead of time when you're of sound mind.
And quickly on that, Brad.
Go.
Just in terms of accounts, are your beneficiaries updated? We've seen people come in
Well,
like
isn't
an
that the
ex-spouse,
first thing,
an
right?
ex-spouse is the
Yeah.
beneficiary, or their
Yes.
mom, and they're married now, and so even something as basic as that, like, are my beneficiaries up to date, is part of the legacy plan.
I love that. And may I say congratulations, because I think the hydraulics on the chair are holding so
Yeah.
far.
Fingers crossed.
bwlegacyquiz.com. I hope you've scanned this, because what we've kind of determined is if you're moving into that retirement age and you have not thought about a legacy plan, then this has to be part of where you go. You want your money to go where you want it to go, and have an understanding of what it is going to be in that process so that it's laid out for your wishes. Then you're going to want to make a call to 888-970-4685. You can scan that QR code as well. It's putting together an appointment for you for a financial compass review. It is soup to nuts. It's from beginning to end. And if this is the tail that wags the dog and you don't have this for the ending, understanding what you're doing while you're living, and knock the dust off the trust. 888-970-4685. We're back after this.
You've worked hard to build your legacy, but without a clear estate plan, everything you've built could be vulnerable to delays, legal battles, and unnecessary taxes. Probate can take months or even years and leave your family with added stress during an already difficult time. And many people think having a will is enough when it's only part of the picture. That's why we created the Estate Planning Readiness Quiz. It walks you through key areas like powers of attorney, healthcare directives, trusts, tax strategies, and more. In just a few minutes, you'll find out how prepared you are and where you may need help. It's not just for the wealthy, it's for anyone who wants to protect what they've worked for. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit bwglegacyquiz.com to take the quiz today to start planning with clarity.
The last thing anyone wants is for their legacy to become a source of a family feud. Yet without clear planning, inheritance disputes and emotional battles can tear families apart. Our complimentary ebook, Avoid the Family Feud and Inheritance Nightmares, uncovers the hidden threats that can cause these conflicts. It offers strategies to help safeguard your legacy and support your loved ones. Download your copy today.
So glad you're with us. Brad Johansen, along with Chris and Scott, your financial compass, folks. It is with Bulman Wealth Group. If you do not have a legacy plan, this is one that you need to at least pay attention to for education purposes. And if you are already in it and haven't dusted off the trust, maybe this is one that you want. We put up the financial tool with the legacy quiz to have an understanding of where you are. You can scan the code. Easy to update this. I want to talk about transferring money if we're doing this. When I say I want my money to go where I want it to go, are different accounts treated differently as they pass on that we need to pay attention to on that?
Yeah, it's a good point. You have qualified accounts, which are your IRAs, 457, 403Bs, et cetera. Even life insurance, it contractually has a beneficiary listed already. All of those qualified accounts have beneficiaries listed, so when you pass away, they don't need to be owned can't be owned by the trust and don't need to really go into the trust most times. Sometimes if you have a interesting situation of how you want to pass the money, we can put it through the trust. Other accounts, like for example, bank accounts, non-qualified brokerage accounts.
Okay.
We had a client that came to us, and we were able to get a trust set up. This client came to us in, let's say, July, a couple of years ago. We were able to get all the accounts set up. He had 30 different accounts out there, different mutual fund companies, maybe $15 million. We got it all set up in the trust after he passed, and he passed away like 2 months later. We got it all done just in time, got the trust set up and got the accounts transferred. But then there's always one, when you go all this time without a financial advisor, something's going to get missed. And so even though we try to corral it all, The wife was getting statements after he passed, and it turns out there were a couple accounts that were out there that he forgot about, didn't know about. Well, they can't just go into the bank or go into the brokerage firm and say, hey, these are my accounts. They weren't in the trust. So now we've got to go through all this proof, and it took months and months. And
Does this go back, and I jump on this all the time, of financial junk drawers for a lot of people, that they don't, I got a lot of stuff out there. I know I got stuff. I'm not quite sure where it is or what it's doing. In what you do, from the beginning, even before legacy planning, Chris, having a bunch of people in to say, you know what, do we know where our accounts are? Are we using them efficiently? Is probably from the beginning of the plan.
Yeah, and you point out something that we talk about a lot, especially one of our advisors, Sean and Scott, talk about this, is cleaning out that financial garage. Just take a moment and think about your garage right now, especially if you have kids. It's probably not perfect. If you don't have kids, it might be perfectly set up. But you'll go out in your garage and you'll find stuff, boxes, bikes, they're just dispersed everywhere. You kind of forget, do we have a tent? I don't remember if we still have a tent. Do we have the pop-up for the soccer games? Where did that go? It's all gets cluttered pretty quickly with kids. Financial lives are no different.
Yeah.
People come to see us and they've got accounts everywhere. Old 401ks, old IRAs. They forgot that they had a Robinhood account, whatever it might be. And to have someone help you and coach you and guide you and be your partner along the way to get all of that stuff organized, just like your garage.
You talked, Scott, about beneficiaries, which I think is crucial for a lot of things, but is understanding where you want money transferred. Is it going to a spouse? Is it going to a kid? And my gosh, I hate legislative risk, because the government just decides to change the rules whenever they want to. So 2019, 2020 Secure Act kind of changes some stuff. Lead me into that on who I want it to go to and whether or not there are government rules that I need to know about to change that as well.
Well, I think we can all agree unanimously that the government is smooth and has our best interests in mind, so we'll start with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you referenced the Secure Act. So what it really changed is how, say, IRA or 401k accounts are inherited by non-spouses. So say there's a mom still around and she's got some IRA accounts, her husband maybe's already passed, and she passes away and is leaving these kids or these accounts to her kids. Well, in the past, you could, what's called the stretch IRA, essentially just take portions out for the length of your life. Now, under the Secure Act, as it stands now, I'm sure it'll change again in a few years, but if a non-spouse is inheriting an IRA, they have a 10-year window to liquidate it, if they need it or not. I have some clients that are going through this right now as their mom has passed, and we just take out a certain portion every year. But the point is, if mom passed on, say, March 10th of 2026, by March 10th of 2036, that account needs to be zeroed out. And everything you pull out is treated as taxable income.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't need it or maybe you do, but the point is if you already have a good earning job and you're pulling this money out, it could create some further tax issues for you. But it's understanding the nuances of those rules and the fact that, as you said, they're changing almost all the time.
Which is why you need an expert understanding what the changing rules are. Are there other accounts, Chris, that I have to worry about within this? It feels like cleaning all of this up is, I want to make sure that I'm checking the boxes on everything that I have so I know.
Yeah, are there ones that you want to be concerned about? Specifically, I think beneficiaries. Beneficiaries can cause a lot of, or incorrect beneficiaries can cause a lot of problems because, I mean, once you pass, no one else can change it. It could be a child that you no longer talk to, or a stepchild, or adopted child, or whatever it is, someone that you don't want to get your money anymore, or an ex, especially your wife or husband will not like it if you pass away and forgot to change your beneficiary, and the ex that neither one of you can stand is going to get all the money. That's a problem. And that we see that actually happen. I had another example. We did a TV show on trust probably 4 years ago, and had someone call in to come and set it up for their dad. They were going to bring dad in, 3 siblings. And they never made it. They kept canceling for one reason or another. About a year later, dad passed away. The same guy called again, said, I've got to get this fixed. Dad passed away now. What can we do? Because 2 of my siblings are drug addicts, and they're going to inherit $1 million each, and they're going to spend it all on drugs in the first month.
Oh my gosh.
How do we get this fixed? You can't do anything. It's going to you and your 2 siblings. So now you get $1 million, they get $1 million. You're all going to have fun with it in your own way.
I hope that you've taken the quiz, scanned the QR code to be able to have an understanding of where we are. For a lot of us, we have stuff, but we really don't know what's in it. We really don't know where it's going to go. we're not even sure of the questions we're supposed to ask to understand whether it's in the right place. So I hope you take the quiz. I hope that you come in so that you can meet with us, because the complimentary appointment is just that. It's for you. It's free, and it may just be a second opinion for you to get an understanding of what you have, what you don't have, whether or not you need to clean up the junk drawer, or whether it's actually bigger than that and it's a garage that we've got to clean up. 888-970-4685. Let's put it together for you, because your situation is going to be different than everyone else's. Let's make it work for you. Be right back.
You've worked hard to build your legacy, but without a clear estate plan, everything you've built could be vulnerable to delays, legal battles, and unnecessary taxes. Probate can take months or even years and leave your family with added stress during an already difficult time. And many people think having a will is enough, when it's only part of the picture. That's why we created the Estate Planning Readiness Quiz. It walks you through key areas like powers of attorney, healthcare directives, trusts, tax strategies, and more. In just a few minutes, you'll find out how prepared you are and where you may need some help. It's not just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who wants to protect what they've worked for. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit bwglegacyquiz.com to take the quiz today and start planning with clarity.
So glad you're with us on Your Financial Compass. Brad Johansen along with Chris Bulman, Scott Vlahon, Bulman Wealth Group, talking legacy and estate planning. As I started, Scott, I said tail that wags the dog. So this is part of our kick the can. We wait till the last. Can we get to this? And is this something that we need to include in a full financial plan? Because we always say the first thing we got to do is worry about the income plan.
Yeah. I thought of this earlier. It's think of the analogy of when we fly in a plane. And they said if something's happening on the plane, the oxygen mask comes down, you have to take care of yourself first, then spouse, kids, what have you. So zooming out, think of it in this case in terms of our planning, the income planning comes first. We have to get that in order to make sure that we're on the right path for retirement, or if we're already retired, can we stay that way? Legacies towards the end. Obviously it's important, but there is a sequence and an order. We have to make sure that box is checked and everything's in its proper place and accounted for. Then, as you were saying, we lead up to the legacy to make sure that complements it and works. But it's all, you can't do one without the other is my point. I think all of it, to have a full kind of like pyramid of finance, you need both of those components along with the other things like investment management, what have you. But we have to cover that concern first with the income plan.
Is there a specific way Bulman Wealth Group addresses legacy planning within this? As Scott says, this is comprehensive. Is this different sometimes than other people address it?
Yeah, I mean, it's based on priority of what's important for that person. For example, I had a couple come to me, they're pregnant, they're having their first child, they both have great jobs, and they said they want to set up a college account or something. And I said, well, time out. Like, let's think about what's important first. If something happens to you now, to the two of you, what's going to happen to this child? So number one thing is we need to make sure that the child's taken care of. And you can do that with a will and a trust, right? Number two, how do we pay for that child? If we're not here to have income and we want to make sure that whoever takes care of our child is going to have enough money to take care of the child like we would have wanted them to, then we also need to have some life insurance to protect our child or even our spouse. So those are a couple things. The next thing I would say is start with the end in mind. Like, what is the actual goal? I had a client several years ago come to me, and she said, hey, our pension is plenty. Pension's high, really high in California. Some people have some good ones. The bills are paid off. The RV's paid off. The house is paid off. All they do is travel and have fun, and the pension pays for everything. Well, what about those IRAs and brokerage accounts they have? So they said, well, not only do we have them, we have extra, probably $1,000 to $2,000 a month that we just don't need. So I want to open another stock account just for my grandbabies. And there's 6 of them. And so I want to open a stock account and see how much we can grow it to. And I said, well, what's the goal? Well, to give them a bunch of money. And I said, well, what if we can put in the stock market? Let me show you what that looks like if you live 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And the end goal is, if we can turn this $1,000 a month into $600,000 by the time you leave my office today, would that be of interest to you? And if they would have said no, we would have invested in the stock market. But she said yes. So I said, what if we could do that and have some long-term care as well? So we purchased a life insurance policy that had long-term care included, $1,000 a month, and unfortunately this person got sick about a year later and passed away a few months after that. So with probably less than $16,000 invested, left $600,000 to her 6 grandchildren. That's
a
planning
legacy.
with that's a legacy, and that's planning with that's achieving the ultimate goal that she wanted. She just didn't know exactly how to achieve that goal. And just by asking the right questions and then sort of having a partner that understands all the different widgets and products that you can use, it worked out perfectly in an unperfect situation.
Proper tools for the proper placement all the time. We talk about dusting off the trust. I know there's not necessarily a time frame because we always like numbers. Give me a number of when I should be rechecking it. Do I check it every 5 years? Is it logical to say that as life changes, we should be checking what we've got in our trust?
I think either one of those instances. So say it's been 5-10 years, definitely at that case. But like you said, grandkids born, or we moved and we still have the old house in the trust, or or there's a charity we want to give money to. So it's just probably even more so with life changes, because sometimes you might have a trust that's 20 years old and nothing's changed, and that's fine. But at least let's take a look in there to make sure everything's in its proper place. But it's just always, our lives are going to change. The trust needs to change with it too. We don't need to amend it every year. That's probably a bit overkill. But it's certainly something that needs to stay, for the most part, updated with how our needs or wishes might change.
Yeah, and then understanding that, as we've talked about throughout all of this, that this is part of a comprehensive plan. And if you don't have a plan, we've said this many times, the government has a plan for you. That if something isn't written in your wishes, you don't have it in place, you're waiting on the courts to tell you where everything is going to go. And somebody else who says that, I want a piece of this, remember when you told me this is what I was going to get? Let's put a comprehensive plan together for you at 888-970-4685. It is kind of your financial compass. It's a financial compass review. It is yours, complimentary. And you may have been looking for somebody that you can trust on all of this stuff because it's very difficult. Let's help put it together for you in a way that works for you and your family to leave the legacy that you want. 888-970-4685. Your time is valuable. Appreciate you spending some of it with us here. I hope we see you in the office. Right back here next time on Your Financial Compass.